Good morning, Marijuana Nation. It's Wednesday, July 12th, 2017, and you're tuned in to episode 286 of Marijuana Today Daily. I'm your host, Shay Gunther, and I'll be walking you through today's marijuana news and headlines. As always, we have a full and busy day of cannabis news in our hands, so let's jump right into it. Our top story of the day is a report commissioned by the Drug Policy Alliance that shows that New York City police are still arresting tens of thousands of people for low-level marijuana possession every year, with the vast majority of those arrested being Black or Latino. According to the report, in the first 3 years of Mayor de Blasio's administration, more than 60,000 people were arrested in New York City for having small amounts of marijuana, with 86% of those arrested being either Black or Latino, despite the fact that neither demographic group uses marijuana at a higher rate than any other. The racial disparities are striking when you take a look at specific slices of the data. In 2016, just 14 arrests were made for marijuana possession in the rich and white Upper East Side, while West Harlem, with a third of the population of the Upper East Side, saw 677 arrests. I'll leave that to you to work out what the racial makeup of West Harlem is. This is an important story to fully understand, so take a moment today and click over for the full read. Our second story of the day continues on the themes of the first, with Washington, D.C. seeing the number of arrests for public use of marijuana tripling in 2016, with no signs of slowing down this year. In all last year, more than 400 people were arrested for using marijuana in public, a huge jump over 2015's 142 arrests. Although marijuana use is technically legal in the District of Columbia for of-age adults, the actual practice of consuming cannabis can only be legally carried out in one's private home. This leaves people without a home and those renting without a legal place to smoke marijuana. This is especially problematic for people living in public housing, which, because of its reliance on federal funds, takes a very hard line when it comes to marijuana use, to the point of evicting entire families for the cannabis use of one of its members. This is another important one to click over and read in full. Our final top story of the day is the news that U.S. Attorney General Jeff Sessions wants to bring back the D.A.R.E program on a nationwide scale. D.A.R.E, or Drug Abuse Resistance Education, is the failed drug education program first pushed by prohibitionists and government officials back in the 80s as a way to indoctrinate kids into the rhetoric of the drug war. Yesterday, Attorney General Sessions spoke to a small group of leftover D.A.R.E adherents in Texas and said he thought the program, well proven to be completely ineffective at its goals, should be brought back to its glory days. Speaking of drug dealers, Sessions said, quote, "We need you. We need D.A.R.E to prevent them from finding new victims. We need your strong leadership to deny them new customers." Unquote. I wonder how you say that in Russian. Those are our top stories for today. It's time for Marijuana Today Daily Headlines Blitz. Before we blitz out on headlines, let's quickly thank our sponsor, MJ Today Media, publishers of this podcast, our weekly show, Marijuana Today, and the MJ Today Media Newsfeed email newsletter. If you need to stay up to date and hooked in on all the latest twists and turns of the legal marijuana industry, then you need to be connected with all of our publishing outlets. Find Marijuana Today over at mjtodaypodcast.com and the MJ Today Media Newsfeed over at mjtodaymedia.com/newsfeed. All right, time for the Blitz. Massachusetts Governor Charlie Baker told reporters yesterday that if the 6 members of the conference committee working to merge the state House and Senate versions of the marijuana legalization bill aren't able to come to terms on an agreement soon, the state would be forced to go ahead and implement the law exactly as passed by voters in the fall. Under that scenario, the sales tax rate would be set to 12%, and local voters would be given the say over whether or not their town or municipality could block marijuana businesses from setting up shop. 2 large Arizona medical marijuana companies have merged to form what they say is the largest medical marijuana operation in the state. The merger between the Harvest Company and Modern Flower will bring 6 new medical licenses and an 18,000 square foot cultivation facility to Harvest's existing multi-state holdings, which include a number of dispensaries and cultivation sites. New York Governor Andrew Cuomo is considering whether or not to sign a bill into law adding PTSD to the list of his state's medical marijuana qualifying conditions. John Schroyer over at Marijuana Business Daily has a great piece up diving into the hemp-based CBD market, which he reports is booming. This is a good one to swing over for the full read. As always, we have all the news we cover linked to on our website at mjtodaydaily.com and on our Twitter account at mjtodaydaily. Medical marijuana patients living in North Dakota should have access to a functioning medical marijuana market by next spring, according to a timeline recently released by state officials. The state's health department is accepting letters of intent for medical marijuana cultivators and distributors through July 28th to get a better idea of the business playing field. Under state law, patients won't be able to grow their own medical marijuana and will have to buy from one of the state's 8 licensed dispensaries, which will be served by 2 cultivation sites. The actual application window for hopeful cannabis businesses will be opened up next month, with final winners announced sometime in November. Alaska's Anchorage Assembly voted last night to urge the state's Marijuana Control Board to consider allowing businesses to open up space for their customers to consume marijuana. This is a long-running story here on the Daily, with the latest plans calling for the adoption of one of 3 scenarios. One where customers could only consume edibles within a business consumption space, one where customers could consume just before leaving, and a final one where customers could leisurely enjoy their cannabis via smoke or vapor without being rushed out the door. The Alaska Control Board will vote on the matter tomorrow, so we'll follow up with how it goes on Friday. And finally for today, my buddy Tom Angel over at MassRoots has a good story up about a vote expected to be run this week by the U.S. Senate Appropriations Committee on a proposal to allow VA doctors to recommend medical marijuana to veterans in need in states where it's legal to do so. Currently, federal law bars VA doctors from even giving their opinion on whether medical marijuana would be a good fit for a veteran patient. This is a good one to click over for the full dive in. Those are the headlines and news for the day. I'll be back with you again tomorrow morning with another information-packed episode of Marijuana Today Daily. But in the meantime, if you have any stories to share or feedback to give, zip us an email to headlines@mjtodaydaily.com. And while you're clicking around the interwebs, swing over to our Twitter account at mjtodaydaily and visit our website at mjtodaydaily.com to find links to all the news we cover. Thanks to our sponsor, MJ Today Media, and to all of our awesome Patreon listeners for the support that makes this show possible. To join the illustrious ranks of the Patreon listeners yourself, swing over to our website at mjtodaydaily.com and click on the big blue button at the top of the page that says Become a Patron. I'm your host, Shay Gunther. Thanks for tuning in, starting your day with marijuana today.
One take, Shay. One take.